Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and I'm here today with another instalment in my card making Back to Basics series. So I've been looking at this little Inca birthday owl that I've coloured up with some Copics and thinking how I could use this on a card, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about card design and in particular using the rule of thirds. So what I do is have a piece of vellum. It's cut to the same size as a typical A6 card, and I've drawn two vertical and two horizontal lines, and I have little holes punched just at where the lines intersect. And this rule is kind of a guideline in that you should focus your elements either along the lines or at the intersecting points where the lines cross each other. Let me show you what I mean. So say I want to use this owl as on a portrait card, or a top fold card probably in my case, because that's what I usually do. I just could lie this piece of vellum over top. I already know that's not a bad placement where he's sitting on the card, because it's not perfectly centered, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a general guideline. And then thought he'd be really cute if he was sitting on a branch, and I have die cut a woodland branch here from Memory Box. And so if I pop that, so say I set that like that. Now if I want to place my sentiment, the perfect place to put my sentiment would be at, say this point here, or I could also sort of flow it along the image and focus it all in this one corner. And I've got this penny black speech bubble. It's from the Chat Bubbles set, and if I set that over the other intersecting point, it sort of gives you a nice balanced look to the card. So I think I will make this into a card. See how we go. So I'll measure this out. I've got a top fold card here, and I want this to be cut the same size as the front of my card. And I just like to mark it and then cut it with my trimmer. So I'll get my die and I'll set it roughly where I think it needs to go. I'm going to be stamping this in the negative space, so I'll hold that in place with a bit of low tack tape. I'm just using some painter's tape here, but you could use a washi or anything like that. So I'm just using a normal sandwich in my big shop, and I'm going to talk about tools real soon in this series, so I'll come back to that. And I'll use a bit of Tombow Mono to adhere my branch, remembering that you actually don't need very much of this at all. And to cut off the excess, the best way to do this is to flip your card over and cut from the back, and then you can cut exactly where the edge of the card is. Now back to the front of my card, and I want to stamp the sentiment inside this speech bubble. So I'll get a pencil and make a light mark. Okay, so I've got a fun sentiment from the Mama Elephant Good Times set saying this is how we do it, and some VersaFine smoky grey ink. Now you could always stamp this on a separate piece of cardstock if you're not confident to stamp directly on the front of the card. And I'll just erase my pencil line. So I'm using some foam squares to pop up the back of the panel, and making sure that I focus around the die cut so that it doesn't sag. There's so many different fun embellishments out there. One of them that I love at the moment are these enamel dots, and they come in all different colours. And I thought it'd be fun to add one to the eye on this. And you'll find when you're adding, or even when you're stamping, things look better in odd numbers. So say instead of doing 2 or 4 or something, 3 or 5 is actually a bit more pleasing to the eye. So that's just a good little trick to remember. So I just touched a little bit on card design today, and I'm glad to see this little fella made it onto the front of a card. So till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.